Where are we right now?
We're in the band hall.
We are in the band hall doing this podcast about Model UN.
Yeah, so this is a collaboration with the Civic Wellness Podcast. This is technically the Student Recap Podcast, episode 25.
Yeah.
Hey guys, in celebration of our 25th episode, this episode is going to include some other interviews, shorter ones with a few of the other people at the Model UN conference that I was at. And I just hope you like this episode format a little bit more than past episodes, so please comment and tell your ideas about it. Hello, this is Luke Milan, and are you ready for HAMUN?
Yes, I'm very prepared with my one position paper.
Also, what country are you doing?
I'm doing India for UNICEF.
Okay, We'll talk about this later. Welcome to the 24th episode of Student Recap Podcast. This is HAMUN 2025, and to start off with, I'd just like to interview one of the board members of our Model UN Club, Ethan Wang. So, what country will you be representing at HAMUN 2025?
So I'm doing press, so I'm not actually going to be a country. I'm going to be South China Morning Post. It's a Hong Kong newspaper.
And what's the topic for your committee?
So we're going to talk about journalist protection to start with, but then for the rest of our committee, we're going to go to different committees. We're going to take notes. We're going to publish news articles and stuff. It's a specialized committee, so it's really fun.
And are you excited for HAMUN 2025?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So, Ulysses, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Ulysses. I'm currently a junior. I do my podcast, Civic Wellness Podcast. Go check it out. It's a lot about public policy and politics, but I also do a lot of different stuff, hobbies of mine, such as, for example, this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about our HAMUN or Model UN experience we had last week. So yeah.
Yeah. So HAMUN, it was a conference between a bunch of different schools in Houston, and there were actually over 1,300 people there. Yeah. It was really interesting. And now to start off with, what committee were you in?
Yeah, so the committee I was in the crisis committee. So this was actually the first time I did a crisis committee. And so usually in normal committee, there would be a topic in these kind of bills that you would have passed. But in a crisis, it's more, I would say it's more general, and it definitely gives you more freedom. So my topic was the Boxer Rebellion, and I was part of the Qing, the Qing committee, and then the other kind of half was the Eight Nation Alliance. I was part of the Qing, and we had to pass a lot of these personal directives. So we definitely passed much more bills, as you would call it, but we call it directives, and it's we should prepare the army, or import food to this or something like that. So it's definitely more, I guess, free instead of less structured, I guess. Yeah. How about you?
So the committee I had was a GA committee. It was UN Environmental Protection, and in this committee, I was involved in a bunch of different environmental things. Our topics were having sustainability and climate change resistance in small island developing nations, such as Fiji, Vanuatu, small islands in the Pacific or other places around the world. And in addition to this, we also had topic B, which was reducing the harms of fertilizers and pesticides due to their chemically toxifying nature into the soil, which they are put into. And more on this. So my committee was rather large, about 70 people. Wow. Actually.
My committee was not that large. It was around 20 to 30.
Yeah, so crisis committees, they're often much smaller, and it's mostly more senior delegates that have experience. But the General Assembly committees are definitely larger, and they're made up of people who aren't as experienced in Model UN.
Yeah, I mean, is this your first time?
Second.
Second time, yeah. Freshman, yeah. Second time. So how'd it go? How do you think?
So I think I did pretty well, except there was one thing that hindered me from possibly getting an award. So one thing, I was in the back of the room, in the very back left corner.
Yeah.
And whenever I raised my hand, I just wasn't able to get picked on because nobody saw my hand.
Yeah.
But in addition to this, the chairs were also kind of hating on me and not picking me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
that
feel
plays a
like
role.
if I had done a little bit better effort on my position paper, because I just did pretty much what the background guide was on my position paper, the chairs would have looked upon me more favorably.
Yeah.
Because two nations, Chad and Iraq, they had really good position papers, and then the chairs were pretty kind to them.
Yeah. So in crisis committee, usually there's like a position paper award, and you have like honorable mention, outstanding delegate, and best delegate. So in crisis, we actually didn't have a position paper award, which is pretty weird. So I did write a position paper, but it couldn't be accepted for an award. But some like advice I can give to you is I don't know if your like seating is arranged or not, but obviously it was okay. So I guess it's kind of more unfortunate for him, especially in a room with 70 people. It's hard to, I guess, stand out. So I think one kind of tip I can give you as someone who has done Model UN for like the past 3 years is your opening statement. Make sure that you kind of stand out, right? So there's 70 people in yours and like 70 people in your committee. The chair won't even like remember who you are, won't even remember your name. And I guess like the only time you can really like showcase, because like during the opening statement, everyone goes. So like make sure like your opening statement, it's clear, it stands out. It's kind of like make it different from the rest, and don't make it like a really generic saying like, oh, like as this country I want to do blah blah blah. Actually go thorough, go deep, have like a really interesting hook. Make it stand out so that right from the opening, the chair's like, oh, like this person or like this country is someone that like I should keep an eye out on. So like even if you do sit in the back, they'll like still remember you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing that stopped me from doing that was that I actually wasn't even picked for our dais list in the very beginning. I was just sitting there in the back, and I wasn't able to go up because they only had like 15 speakers go up.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
On the second topic, I was able to get picked, but since the second topic was already after the awards had been submitted, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. Yeah.
That's how it works. Usually, it's really based on the first, like first. And I guess like talk a little bit about my experience. I didn't get an award this time. I guess like my like room, it was definitely more experienced Model UNers. They were very, I guess like more competitive. They were very well spoken, and they passed. Our room especially, we passed a lot of directives. So it was definitely a more competitive room. We did have like a little fun though. In the end, we revived. I'll like probably like put a video up here. We like revived the terracotta soldiers. So after we lost, unfortunately, to the 8-Nation Alliance on a game of Risk on the little dice game, we revived the terracotta soldiers and invaded them back. So yeah, that was pretty fun. But I think Model UN in general, like it's a lot of people see it as like like very serious and very structured. But my main kind of like tip is to go and have fun, because once you like get in, like maybe like the first day it's like really all serious, you don't know each other, but on the second day, as the day goes on, it's definitely much more chill.
On my side of the committee, we had a LeBron James dance to erase pesticides from the world. Our crisis update was that pesticides literally became a monster called Grey Thulu. And some people had some pretty crazy ideas. And actually, most notably, one of the people who got honorable mention, he was the guy who brought up LeBron James in the crisis update. So, like, he was a very vibrant person, I would say. He had some questionable speeches, but I guess the chairs looked favorably upon him. Yeah. And so, in your experience in Model UN, how would you say is the best way to navigate diplomacy and forming blocks within your committees?
Yeah, so the forming blocks, I would say definitely note passing. If you don't know, you can like pass notes during Model UN, and it's like actually like kind of encouraged because everyone goes and speak, and definitely try to find people who like kind of have the same idea as yours. So for example, like I was, a leader of the boxers, right? So I would kind of, form kind of like a group or like a block with other boxers as well, right? Like during the Boxer Rebellion. So I would say definitely try to find people who are like alike in your position, pass notes, definitely try to approach people because I saw a lot of people kind of just like stand there by themselves.
Yeah.
That's definitely not a good idea, especially like even if you are like more introverted or more shy, go up to people, talk to them. I think it's just like overall a really fun experience, and like don't take it like too seriously at first. Just like approach them and talk to them and have fun, and especially like the diplomacy, like it comes with it, because you definitely learn a lot during like writing your position papers, your speech. So I think that's a great way.
Yeah, I would definitely agree because I was an avid note passer and I actually got a lot of people to join my ideas. Unfortunately, then they modified my ideas and I was no longer a sponsor on the resolution paper. But I feel like I had some pretty good friendship-making skills within my committee because every nation that I sent a note to, I would probably get like 75% of them a note sent back. And even though my ideas were a little bit crazy, I think they resonated with some people.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I had this idea in topic B to eliminate all fertilizers and use compost and animal feces to replace them. I mean, scientifically it does work, but some people just weren't so thrilled with the idea of going back to ancient technology. And so, as like you had the fun experience at the end, Model UN isn't just a nerds thing that it's super serious, right? It's actually an extension of your academic creativity because in normal school or debate club, you don't have that much freedom. You're very set,
definitely
strict.
structured,
And I feel like Model UN is definitely a place where all sorts of people can express their ideas.
I can definitely agree with that. I also do speech and debate, outside of school, and it's definitely much more structured. You have like this amount of time, but for Model UN, it's literally like, it's literally like Model United Nations. You get to like motion, you get to, pass your bills, you get to, vote on them. It's definitely, like kind of like a replica of the real United Nations. So yeah, it's definitely really interesting.
And so your experience like traveling to all these conferences, I mean, it might be a long drive and you might be really tired going back, but you meet so many people at these conferences that you'll see at the next one that it's just a really good community maker.
There's definitely a lot of people I've seen multiple times during Model United Nations. Especially like if it's someone around like the Woodlands community, you definitely see a lot. And you do make new friends and just new people that you meet. Some like it's kind of unfortunate because this guy, like really cool guy you meet, but like you only kind of meet like once or twice a year from this like one Model United Nations, like Model UN conference. So
I have an example. So there was this one guy from Woodlands High School that he was at the last conference, which I talked about on a previous podcast. He was pretty crazy. He tried to print out a picture of me and asked me to sign it. And I mean, it was a pretty hard glaze, but I appreciate the friendship and like the attempt to be closer with me. Because, I mean, he was just like some random country. I think he was Vietnam in my last conference. I was Russia. And I didn't expect him to go and reach out to me.
So that's really interesting. It's a really cool experience. I think for me, I guess like traveling and just like meeting new people through Model UN, you definitely do. Well,
thank you so much for being on the Student Recap podcast in addition to the Civic Wellness podcast. And I will see you later today.
Thank you. I will see you in band class.
Fellow 8 Nation Alliance members, This is the Terracotta Army. We have revived them from the dead. Qin Shi Huang first raised this army as the first emperor of China 2,000 years ago. They are now back to life.
Mao Zedong is also, we sped up the birth of Mao Zedong. He is right now, right here, in the flesh, leading this terracotta army to greatness.
I'll get questions in a second, but just so you know, these guys are immortal and impervious to guns and bullets, alright? Any questions? You.
What if we spray water on you?
No, they came back to life. They're immortal.
70%.
Any other questions?